services is Rabbi Michael Simon.
You may be seated. In the words of Ecclesiastes, there's a season set for everything, a time for every experience under heaven, a time for dancing and a time for wailing, a time for birthing and a time for dying, a time for speaking and a time for silence, a time for seeking and a time for losing. The time of mourning is always a complicated and difficult time. It's filled with many memories and emotions, happy and sad and bitter and sweet. And thus we begin our service this afternoon in memory of Ethel Blauzvern, Ethel Blauzvern, Alea HaShalom, with the recitation of psalms and prayers, thus linking Ethel's life to the 5,000-year-old tradition of the people of Israel and the eternity of God. Mizmor LeDavid Adonai Roi Lo Echsar, Binot Deshe Arbitzeini Al Mei Menuchot Yinahaleni, Nafshi Yeshovev Yancheni B'Ma'agilei Tzedek L'Ma'an Shemo, Gam Ki Elech B'Gaitz Al Mavet, Lo Irara Ki Ata Imadi, Shiftecha Mishantecha Hema Yinachamuni, Ta'aroch Lefanai Shalcha Neged Sorarai, Tishanta b'shemen roshi kosi rivaya, ach tov v'chesed yirdafuni kol yemei chayai, v'shavti b'veit Adonai le'orech yamim. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He guides me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil, my cup runs over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. I'm sure you've heard that psalm many times over the years. There's a line in there that I think is very fitting as it refers to Ethel's life, and I know Ethel's also heard that psalm many times over the years. And that is, thou hast anointed my head with oil, my cup runs over. What does it mean? Well, we could read that literally to mean that God poured oil over Ethel's life, over her head, and it was so much that it just was overflowing and it spilled on the floor. It's not a very nice sight, very messy. But maybe we can read it more metaphorically in terms of what the psalmist had in mind. And that is that God indeed blessed with Ethel Blauzvern with the oil of life. And she was blessed not only with some oil, but enough oil that it was overflowing with long years, 97, almost 97 years, overflowing with love of family, being brought up in Queens, New York, with her sister Sandra, her beloved husband, Daniel, of 49 years, they were introduced to by a friend. Her 3 children, Neil and Patty, Peter and Amy, and Allison and Stephen. Their grandchildren, Hayden, Sarah, Adam and Danielle, David and Tess, Sarah and Logan, and a great-grandchild, Lexi, and another on the way. That's an example of being blessed with that oil of life. And as you'll hear today, and as I'm sure you all know, it wasn't a case where the glass was proverbially half full or half empty. It was full. It was overflowing. And Ethel made those 97, almost 97 years, a life that was overflowing with love for her family and happiness and doing the things that she loved to do, which we'll talk about a little later. I'd like to start by calling upon Allison to say a few words.
You're gonna.
Does anybody have glasses?
Hold on, I gotta look at the
One moment, please.
Allison, don't do
Are those yours or?
No, there's somebody else.
Okay.
That's okay. My dearest Mom, today as I stand here before you, surrounded by loved ones who share in both our grief and our cherished memories, I am overwhelmed by the depth of love and gratitude that fills this room. You are not just my mother, you are my confidant, my mentor, and my best friend. Your passing leaves a void in my heart that I know will never be filled. But I also find solace in the countless beautiful moments that we have shared together. Mom, you lived a remarkable life, 96 years of laughter, love, and lessons learned. From the moment I was born, you dedicated yourself to nurturing, guiding, and supporting me every step of the way. Your unwavering love was a beacon of light that guided me through life's darkest storms, and your wisdom was a compass that steered me towards the path of kindness, compassion, and strength. You are a woman of immense grace and resilience. Despite the challenges life threw your way, you faced them with courage and determination. Whether it was raising a family during tough times or navigating the trials of aging with grace, you always approached life with a spirit of resilience and a smile on your face. But oh, how you loved to laugh. Your infectious laughter could fill a room with warmth and joy, and your witty sense of humor never failed to lift our spirits. Even my friends told me that. I will always treasure those moments we shared, giggling like schoolgirls over inside jokes and silly antics, even in temple. Your laughter was music to my ears, a melody that will echo in my heart for eternity. You had a way of making everyone feel loved and cherished. Your kindness knew no bounds, and your generosity touched the lives of countless people. Whether it was baking cookies for neighbors or offering a shoulder to cry on, you always yell at me for doing this, opening my house to hundreds of people because people don't invite me back to their house, but you know you would have done the same. As I reflect on your life, I'm reminded of the countless lessons you imparted upon me. You taught me the importance of empathy, the power of forgiveness, and the beauty of living life with an open heart. Your legacy will live on through the countless lives you have touched and the lessons you instilled in all of us, all of your grandchildren, and now your great-grandbaby girl. While my heart aches with the pain of your absence, I find comfort in knowing that you are at peace, reunited with Dad and many other loved ones who have gone way before you. Your spirit will live on in the hearts of all who knew and loved you, and your memory will be a source of comfort and inspiration for generations to come. So as we bid farewell to you today, Mom, know that you will always hold a special place in my heart. Thank you for being my rock, my guiding light, and my greatest inspiration. Although you may no longer be with me in body, your legacy, spirit, love, and teachings will always be part of me. Watch over all of us, Mom. I know you will. I feel honored to have been your daughter and to have been loved as you love me. I will carry your love with me always until we meet again. Rest in peace, Mommy, knowing that you are loved beyond measure, and give Daddy a kiss for me.
Adam and Sarah.
Here.
Okay. Sorry. Okay, go. Grandma, I love you so much. It's crazy to think It's crazy to think that just 2 weeks ago, we were sitting holding each other tightly while reminiscing over our favorite memories together. I'm forever grateful to have had that special quality time with you, and will cherish it always. You recalled how much you loved playing school together, where I would always have to be the teacher and you were always my student. You were a really great student to have in class. Definitely my favorite. I'm sorry I never let you play the role of teacher. Another favorite memory is when I would give you manicures with my pretend nail set for hours. You sat so patiently while I pretended over and over to apply nail polish on your hands. I loved baking brownies every time we were together. Yours were always the yummiest, made with so much love. Same with your delicious meatballs. I loved watching you cook. When we were apart, we'd spend hours on the phone talking to each other. Your phone number was the first number I ever memorized, and I always looked forward to our long phone calls. As you've always told me, I will always be your little girl, no matter how old I get. I am so grateful to have been your little treasure for 27 years. I love you forever, and will always cherish our many special memories. I will miss you so much, but I know that you are still with me. I love you so much, Grandma.
When I was younger, some of my best memories were made down here. It consisted of I got it, yeah.
Just so you can see it better.
It consisted of we would always come down here, and our classic routine when visiting Grandma would be watching TV on Grandma's porch in the morning, which was a foreign concept for us, being that we lived in New York. Then in the afternoons, we'd head down to the pool to play some bocce or shuffleboard, which with two grandsons and, or at that point, two grandsons and a granddaughter. Typically, we disrupted everybody that was playing. And if anybody dared yell at us, Grandma would always have our backs, even though it was highly likely that we did something wrong. And then after a day, or after that, we would go run around the pool, probably end up getting in trouble there. But instead of going out for dinner or something, we always wanted to go home for Grandma's meatballs, which she had spent the past 2 days at least making just for her grandkids. As a kid, I couldn't really ask for more than that. As I got older, Grandma would come a lot to New York to visit. She knew all her friends, and it was pretty funny because it was spring break that I'd come down here. Naturally, on the way back, we stopped off at Grandma's, and I had told her that it was really just to say hi. It's me and 4 other guys. And naturally, saying hi was, just saying hi was not really the option. We'd come upstairs to find that Grandma had made meatballs for all of us, and I was thinking about it yesterday. It didn't really hit me that the fact that it was 4 teenage boys, or early 20s at that point, and she had made enough to send us back to Buffalo with leftovers, which was pretty crazy. It hadn't escaped me that since the day I was born, even though we lived in different states, I never really felt like my grandma was that far away. She was there for every life event that any of us had, and she always believed in us, sometimes more than I believed in myself. I'm grateful that Danielle and I were able to bring Lexi to meet Grandma in person. Something now that, as a parent, you don't really recognize how special it was. And it was really pretty wild to see was that, Grandma had some trouble with hearing and sight, but there were really 2 moments where I felt Grandma had gotten it back, especially more recently. And the first was seeing her interact with Lexi, who had just picked up yelling that week, so it may have helped Grandma with the hearing, but... And then the second was when Danielle and I got to tell her about Danielle's pregnancy, and the fact that it's a boy, and I didn't have to say it twice, and I heard how excited she was for us, and she always told me I made her grandma. And then I made her great-grandma. She really loved it. Grandma, we love you. And we'll miss you terribly. We're all sad. We're all really sad, but I do find some comfort knowing that you're in a better place with Grandpa. So give everyone a kiss, and we love you.
Thanks. Thank you to everyone here today. It means a lot to our family, and I certainly know it would mean even more to Ethel. For those who don't know, I'm Amy, Peter's wife, Ethel's daughter-in-law. As Ethel would attest, I always say it as it is, so here it goes. When Ethel first met me, she wasn't quite sure. I don't know if it was because no one was good enough for her son, or if she didn't want to share. But over the years, Ethel and I forged our own relationship with mutual respect and even honesty about tough subjects. And for those who knew Ethel, honesty about tough subjects did not come easily to her. When Ethel would visit us in New York, I always tried to plan some special field trips, and I'm going to share some special memories. Together with Sarah and some of Sarah's and my friends, we climbed the castle at Central Park. It wasn't easy for Ethel, but she was determined, and we all got a very special viewpoint of New York City. Ethel would play canasta with my friends, and we all loved her stories about how catty women can be, even in their 90s. And of course, we called her in Florida while we were playing if we had any questions. Sarah, my friend Janice, and I took Ethel shopping once to Chinatown to get some bags. We'd ordered bags beforehand, figuring it would be easier for Ethel, less walking around. When we got there, the woman told us, "Oops, I forgot them, but we can go to our factory in New Jersey." I don't know why, but we got in the car and went to their warehouse, their car, in New Jersey. My thoughts were, oh my God, Peter will freak out if his mom and daughter get kidnapped or arrested. Notice, I knew I wouldn't be his first concern. Ethel's thoughts were, and I'm going to quote, "This is fantastic. I haven't felt this alive in years." She loved the risk. Ethel definitely never thought she should come first. I had to force Ethel, when she came to visit, to get new clothes, shoes, her first pair of blue jeans, should I? And even bras and underwear. One of our most special trips were when Peter and I took her back to Brooklyn, where she lived as a young girl. We saw the apartment where she grew up, her schools, etc. Knowing that Ethel secretly liked an adventure, I suggested we actually see the actual apartment that she shared with her family. So I convinced someone to let us inside the building. Ethel was psyched. Unfortunately, the people in her apartment weren't home. Ethel's favorite times with us were when we were just being together. Whether she was making a minimum of 72 of her famous meatballs for her grandchildren, or celebrating birthdays, graduations, engagements, weddings, and becoming a great-grandmother. Meeting and playing with Lexi and watching her grow up on FaceTime were beyond Ethel's treasured moments. To me, Ethel's greatest trait was her ability to go with the flow. Unlike most of her peers, Ethel never complained about what restaurant we went to, where we sat, or anything. She was open to any activity. She was just thrilled to be together with our family and to have her own relationship with each of her grandchildren. Lastly, and most important to Ethel, I promise I will always take care of your Peter darling, not just Peter. Rest in peace, sing in heaven, and dance with your beloved Dan, and be well. Thank you.
Welcome, everyone. Okay, thank you very much for coming. That was a hard act to follow. And thank you all for coming. There's no attempt of me to try and outdo any of that, so let's get the show on the road.
No.
No, I didn't stay up till 3 in the morning editing this thing to try and make it just perfect the way I feel my mom would have wanted. She was an incredible lady, and I do want to thank you for being here to help my family. You just saw the kind of love that she drowned us with in a beautiful way. I don't mean that in a negative way. And I want to also thank you for being here for my family and to help us through our grief and to support us. And most importantly, to remember my mom and remember, very importantly, maybe one too many adjectives, to celebrate the almost 97 years of her wonderful life. She certainly lived that life to the fullest, and that was also because of my dad, Daniel, AKA Grandpa, who was such a very caring, loving, handsome, strong husband and father. You couldn't ask for better. My mom said, and used this line often, that she was a one-man woman. Everybody tried to set her up after my dad passed in 2001. But you know what? There are plenty of, there are plenty of great men out there, but no one fit her hand, as she said, the way my dad did. Together, they taught me to be the husband, the dad, and the grandpa that I am today. Even to be blessed at age 67 and have my mom to this point is an unbelievable blessing. I'll try to give you a glimpse of her life through a few memories I have, and I promise not to take too long. I'll start out by saying I adored and cherished my mom. I think that's pretty obvious to everybody who knew my mom and I. I do stand here, however, now as a son with a completely broken heart. Though I am one son that has been supplied with more than enough love, kindness, guidance, strength, and faith by this special woman next to me here, that our family will be okay and it will thrive. I definitely cannot do justice to the amazing, talented, compassionate, kind, and exceptionally classy lady that my mom was, but I certainly will give it my best. As my mom always said, Neil, wherever my brother's watching in, I wish him a speedy recovery, and Allison, you'll remember she always said, good, better, best. Never let it rest until your good is better and your better is best. Because to try your very best in anything, your very best, is all that someone can ask of you. That's a very valuable lesson and one that she taught us. Her exemplary life and attitude enhanced all the family and friends of anyone who knew her and anyone whose life was touched by her. Music and singing was a huge part of Mom's life. She sang opera. She was better than Beverly Sills. I may be dating myself, but that's the truth. Mom always said, and loved to tease, look at Beverly, she's already retired and I'm still singing. I still have family, friends in New York and elsewhere in the States and Israel who call during the high holidays and express how they miss hearing my mom's angelic singing, especially during the high holidays for the forgiveness prayer, Slach Lanu. No one sounds as beautiful as your mom does, Peter, they'd say. That always touches my heart and makes me very proud. She was also nicknamed the Hatikva Kid. She sang the Israeli national anthem for the congregation and all the traveling plays she was in, especially while living in Platina here down in Florida for the past 20-something years. She had faith, very deep faith. As a kid, and to be honest, even today, I believe she had a personal relationship with God. Not a connection, but a relationship. I know it sounds crazy, but they were friends. She even had one-on-one discussions with him. What a way to grow up as a kid, right? It's unbelievable. I know the way you're looking at me, I know I need help, right? But I believed it. Anyway, my mom had a beautiful voice, and she sang my baby sister Allison to sleep so beautifully to Somewhere Over the Rainbow. That was her song. Better than Judy Garland, I would say. I then used it for my daughter Sarah. Unfortunately for Sarah, I didn't inherit the singing gene. Then, prior to that, my thoughtful wife, Amy, knowing how special that song is to me, surprised me at our wedding. As I was walking down the aisle with my parents to the chuppah, in the background, the band was playing Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Thank you, honey. My mom certainly had impact, spiritually, emotionally, and supportive. My mom was a bit of an unlicensed therapist and college advisor to so many of my brother Neil's friends and mine. Friends came over to the house to play, but always really wanted to speak to my mom and get some advice about their future, their concerns, their choices of college, anything to do with LIG, life in general. While doing that, she starts cooking them meals. Gedalia would have loved it. And you did. And making them their favorite sandwich. I was like, Mom, come on. We were about to go out and play street hockey. What's going on here? But that's the way she was. An amazing chef, baker, and everything she cooked was delicious. Everyone wanted to come to my house for a meal. The other thing is, when I went back to college, she was the original, hopefully somebody remembers this, she was the original Swanson dinner mom. I went back to college, and my friends and my college roommates and suite mates, and if Kevin, you're listening in on Zoom, Kevin Lenhart, between my mom's TV dinners that I went back to Drew University in Jersey off the Erie Lackawanna, and my buddy Kevin's mom's Hungarian goulash, our dorm never was hungry. My mom and dad met, and it was love at first sight. He came over for a blind dinner date. They fell deeply in love and adored each other. When we would go to a fancy affair, seeing them dance dazzled my eyes. They loved to dance. It affected me so much. When Amy and I were in Miami one year, we went into an art gallery, and on the side was a beautiful statue called Cheek to Cheek. It was two people dancing together. It sits on my fireplace today and remains there to remind me of them and of Amy's parents, Leo and Ray, who also were beautiful dancers, and also reminds me of the time when Amy and I could still trip the light fantastic. And again, we will soon, my love. We love to dance together, and now my mom is dancing again with her love, my dad, Daniel, along with Ray and Leo, having a party up there. As time went on, the family grew. We were out for my mom's 90th in New York, and she made a wish, blowing out her 90 candles on it. Kidding, we didn't do that to her. She had her family surrounding her, and she really was having an absolutely wonderful time. She made the wish, but later on entered Danielle Toll, Adam's girlfriend at the time. Danielle asked my mom what her wish was, and my mom was worried. She said, I can't tell you, it might not come true then. She really believed that stuff. But I don't know if any of you know Danielle. She can be pretty persuasive, right, Adam? And if you know her, you know what I mean. My mom gave in, though, and told her. And in a low whisper, she said, Danielle, my honey, I wish you would become my granddaughter, too. And magically, Adam and Danielle were married in February 2019. From there, she prompted her next grandson to make a move, that being David, especially because Tess and he were together so long, and Grandma didn't like that kind of thing. And so she gained another granddaughter, Tess. Next is my mom's pride and joy. Her granddaughter, my wonderful, loving therapist at Bellevue Hospital, my daughter Sarah, who just made my mom's life complete. The love between the two of them was so special and is so special that it could light up the night sky. Nothing made me happier. Just when you thought life couldn't get any better or fuller for her, along came Lexi Dillon. Danielle, that was you and Adam, if you can hear me on Zoom. They made my mom a great-grandma, or a Gigi as she loved to be called. She always makes so many beautiful comments, always, every day, about Lexi and all her grandchildren that she is immensely proud of. She consistently told me how lucky she felt and how wonderful and proud of each and every one of you she was. And I'll give you one more secret, which I think has already popped out, so I could have left this line out, Aim. The secret is that she was bursting with happiness at the anticipation of a bris coming up in September or October, that Danielle is pregnant. Yes, and Adam and Danielle have another one on the way. Here today also is Gedalia, sitting with Sarah. I do appreciate you being here, Gedalia, for support of us and Sarah especially. He really has a great time with my mom and a great relationship with Sarah's grandma. My mom's favorite line, though, is to tease him. And she'd always say, "What is taking so long?" She is the catch of a lifetime. Audrey Lewis, now you know why last night I got quiet when you said what you said about the wedding. Well, all I could tell you is, Gedalia, she approved of you, and she's going to keep an eye on you, and she'll be watching, so watch out for some signals. I must point out her aide, Rosie. Rosie, who was my mom's friend, confidant, comforter, and has such a big, loving heart. Rosie, I thank you from the bottom of my heart, and so does my family. Thank you so very much for taking care of me. In such a short time, there is no way, though it may not be a short time at this point, there is no way to give my mom's life a comprehensive description. No way at all. But as I close, I hope you all can go home knowing how much my mom was loved, admired, cherished, and cared for by her family and friends. Her 97th birthday will be on May 21st of this month. And we will be down here, and we planned on being down here to celebrate her life, her wonderful, beautiful life, and how she lived, how she truly, really did live. In closing, I'd like to say, knowing this Sunday is Mother's Day, please go home to all your moms, whether here, there, or anywhere, and give them a big hug and kiss. Enjoy the journey with them always. Have a wonderful Mother's Day, as we Blauzvern certainly will be doing this Sunday in honor of Ethel Blauzvern, my mom, our grandma, and our great-grandma. I love you, Mom. Hugs and kisses forever. Thank you.
Couple things I want to just add. As you talked about, Ethel was always involved in her Jewish and synagogue life. Whether it was at Temple Beth El in Belmore on Long Island, where she was president of the Sisterhood, she joined the choir, involved in the couples club, or here at Boynton Beach at Temple Beth Kodesh, where when I first came there, she was involved in the choir. She came every service, and she always loved to sing. And as you mentioned also, getting to hear her sing during the holidays and every other time that she was there. And it reminded me of something which I didn't know until listening, and we touched upon it when we spoke. Ethel would come to services all the time. And Ethel certainly knew the service, and she loved to sing along with the cantor in the service. There's one part in the Saturday morning service, which is every morning, where right before the Shema prayer, the prayer is done to the tune of Hatikva. And it's a classic modern melody that's always done. And every time it was done, Ethel had to complain to me that it was being done. This is blasphemous. Like, what's Hatikva? How could it be blasphemous? It's blasphemous. You can't do that tune to anything but Hatikva. Not exactly, because it was written for something else, and it kind of fits. And actually, after listening, I think I understand where she was coming from. She loved Hatikva. She loved the melody, she loved the words, and she loved what it represented. And therefore, taking it out of that context bothered her. I get it now. And thinking about it, it said so much about her love for the Jewish religion and the Jewish people, the love for Israel, and her love for singing. And she didn't want to get anything to interfere with those ways of looking at her life. It makes sense. And so when we remember Ethel and we think about her voice and all her other qualities, let us also come back and remember that Hatikva, that hope that she had, that she passes along to her family, her children, her grandchildren, her great-grandchildren, and also for generations to come. I want to leave you with this one thought. The noted Israeli author and lecturer Danny Siegel once made a list of 100 things that we should be grateful for. And on that list, he included the following: having parents who have lived long enough to have taught me the good way and the just way, and having parents who have lived long enough to miss them now, but not to be angry or bitter that they are gone. May Ethel Blauzvern, Ethel Blauzvern, rest in peace. May her repose be an honor. Tehei nishmatat tzrura b'tzror hachayim. May her soul be bound up in the bond of life. And let us say, Amen. I'm going to ask you to please rise if you're able for the memorial prayer. As Ethel and her fellow choir members and platina singers know, I don't have Ethel's voice, but I do my best. El malei rachamim, shochein bamromim, hamsei menucha nechona, tachat kanfei hashchina, b'ma'alot kedoshim atahorim, kezohar harakia mashirim, et nishmat Ethel Blauzvern, shehalcha liolama, b'gan eden tehei menuchata, anabal harachamim, hashtireha b'seter knafecha liolamim, utzror b'tzror hachayim et nishmata, Adonai hu nachalata, v'tanuach b'shalom al mishkava, v'nomar, Amen. Exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and the pure to the soul of Ethel Blauzvern, who has gone to her eternal home. Merciful One, we ask that our loved one find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May her soul be bound up in the bond of life. May she rest in peace, and let us say, Amen. You may be seated.
Ladies and gentlemen, this does conclude the chapel portion of the service. We are now going to head out to the prayer side. We're going to bring the casket out first, and I'm going to ask the immediate family to follow directly behind the casket, and everybody else to follow behind them. Because it is a crib side, we are going to be walking there. It's just walk out straight, make a right, go a little bit down, and we'll turn and you'll see where it is. Thank you.